with Coach Smart, and he'll have a few opening remarks, and then we will go to your questions.
Well, the opening remark would be how incredible our fan base is, and they answered the bell today. I think all you guys would admit they were elite, and we noticed it. And to come out there in warm-ups, in coming out of the tunnel, to look up there and see every seat full at a noon kick, it's special to be at Georgia, and they impacted the game. I thought the first series for Arkansas on offense, our crowd was extremely disruptive. I thought our crowd impacted the block punt in terms of cadence and things like that, which forced a touchdown. So I give our crowds, our fans, at least 10 points, and that's big. We were patient today, but aggressive, and that's hard to be. It's hard to be that in football, but we were patient and aggressive, and I think that's important. We preached that all week, one series at a time, not getting ahead of ourselves, and felt like Arkansas had a really good team, but that if we were patient while still being aggressive and physical, that we could at least impose some of our own will. Got a lot of respect for Sam and his staff and their team. They've got a good football team, but today our crowd was very impactful.
Okay, let's go to Seth Emerson and then to Dean Leakey.
Kirby, run game. I'm sure you didn't exactly plan on 57 runs versus 11 passes, but how much of it was Arkansas did respect the passing game? How much of it was Stetson starting and wanted to take pressure off him? Just what accounted, I guess, for just having such a reinvigorated run game this week?
Well, it's called scheme, Seth. I mean, it's not a reinvigorated run game as much as it is you take what they give you. And we felt like it was important to play the game patient but aggressive. And I would have definitely thought there might have been 53 runs in this game, 57 runs, whatever there were, because that was the kind of game plan that we needed to approach it with. And you know what? It might be different next week. The best teams I've ever been around can take on the personality of what they need to take on. And I'm really proud of the offensive line. I'm proud of the offensive coaching staff who did an incredible job game planning against what is a very good defense, in my opinion, a very good defense. And they did a really good job of game planning for that. So it had nothing to do with Stetson Bennett, the quarterback, had nothing to do with the reinvigorated run game. It had to do with what we thought it took to win.
Sorry for the background noise, Kirby. Two things. Number one, what was going on with the punt procedures? And then number two, could you please talk a little bit about Zamir? He seemed extremely excited after that block punt. And this is twice now, I guess, he's made that sort of play against the Hogs. Could you talk about Zamir for a little bit, please?
Zamir's just incredible. There's two kinds of players. There's the player that knows his role, and then there's a player that knows his role and is committed to his role. And Zamir knows his role, and he's committed to his role. I mean, he probably had 3 or 4 of the biggest plays in the game. The touchdown that broke it open with the run where the knee was almost down. The block punt, I think Dan Jackson actually blocks the punt, not Zamir, but Zamir recovered it. Zamir takes so much pride in that, you know. Like, you have to stay after practice on 2 days a week and work on punt block. Well, a guy that's been here 4 years, that'd be easy for him to say, I don't really want to do that. I want to get off the field and go inside. But he stays out there and works on punt block because that's his unit. That's his special teams. Coach Muschamp, the special team staff has done an incredible job of impacting the game. And I thought that they were both very aggressive calls to come after the punts, and Zamir recovered it. But as far as the penalties, that was illegal procedure. We didn't line up on the ball. I mean, just silly, dumb penalty. And we tried to get it fixed at halftime, but then it happened again. So we'll have to get that fixed.
Let's go to Anthony Dasher, Mark Weiser.
Anthony Dasher, Mark Weiser.
I'll take it, Coach. Appreciate that. I know we asked you about Stetson a lot in these interviews, but just once again, just having him to step in when JT is not able, and just as far as JT goes, just kind of what exactly. I know it's a status with the lat right now moving forward.
Yeah, it's week to week, guys. I mean, do your research on a lat injury. It's one of the largest muscles in the body. It can be strained, it can be stretched, it can be torn. Dak Prescott went through this injury, and Dak's, we think, was more extreme than I'm getting a little bit of an echo there, Claude. Dak's was more extreme than we think JT's is, but JT's is a grade 1 lat sprain, and we think we're going to be able to get him back. But we don't know when. And I know this, the men in the locker room have confidence in whoever we put out there. And I know y'all don't believe what I say. I know you say, yeah, whatever, that's just coach speak. We have confidence in our quarterbacks. Like, I have a lot of confidence in Carson Beck. Brock Vandegrift goes in front of me every day. So I'm very pleased with the quarterbacks we have. It's unfortunate that JT can't go, because it's not like we've done anything to make him worse. If anything, he's had a lot of time off, and we don't know if, the oblique compounded the lat, but they're 2 separate injuries, and it's been flaring up on him, and it's a painful injury that we're hopefully going to get him back from. But I can't explain it any more than that, but I'm not losing sleep over it, guys, because it's beyond our control. And Stetson Bennett is a really good quarterback. And I keep saying that, and, people don't believe us, but he's a good quarterback.
Kirby, I think I heard you say this will be a 4-quarter game. Obviously, you guys have had some really fast starts the last couple of weeks, and your defense continues to kind of dominate. I mean, what about that formula to getting these big leads?
Yeah, it's a hell of a formula. You think we can keep it up, Mark? I mean, I'd love the formula. I mean, I don't know that that's going to always happen, right? So you prepare for 4 quarters of battle, and you react to what you get. You respond to what you get. But I mean, yeah, if I could write a script of drive down, score, block a punt, score, I'd be all over that.
Okay, let's go to Charles Odom and then Mike Griffith.
I could ask one more about JT. You said on TV before the game that his availability would be based upon pregame. Was it close at all, or Stetson made it sound like he was the number 1 guy all the way?
Why is this the conversation? I mean, was it close at all? He couldn't play. He couldn't go out and effectively lead the team and play. To do that, you don't need to have a strained lat. Now, could he have gone out there and handed off the ball? Possibly, but that's not, guys, you're missing the window. Like, y'all are making the story all about that. The story should be about these fans. The story should be about these players that go out there and lay it on the line and play their butt off. And I'm so proud of our offensive line, our tight ends, our receivers who didn't get a ton of catches and they blocked their butt off, and their defense and the special teams unit. Make it about that, guys. I mean, JT's going to be okay. Make it about what matters.
Well, I only asked that follow-up because you did say that it would be based upon pregame, but
that's right. It'll be based upon the pregame next week too, because so we go ahead and write that down. It's going to be based upon the pregame next week to see if he's ready to go.
Kirby, I'm thinking about a story where I want to make it about the coaching. You went for it on 4th and 1 on the second series of the game. That seemed like a pretty aggressive call at the time. Can you just talk about the confidence in your mindset?
Well, I wanted to show confidence in our players and our offensive line and the demeanor we're trying to create. And to be honest, I got a lot of confidence in our defense, so if we don't get it, we got to be able to handle that. And we were not in field goal range, right? So it was not a real hard decision for me. It's either punt it and gain 20 to 30 yards or go for it and possibly get 7 points. So it didn't make it real hard. And if we hadn't gotten it, and I'd live with that too. You know what I mean? Like, that's part of it. That decision was made a long time ago in my mind.
Let's go to Chip Towers and then to Chris Lowe.
Yeah, Coach, hard to believe we've gotten this deep in the conversation, not talking about the defense in itself. Was that even beyond what your expectations would have been for what they could do against this offense today?
Chip, for the first time in my career, I could not agree with you more with your comment.
Thanks.
That was a good one. Yeah, I was proud of the defense because they got a good offense. That quarterback is one of the toughest human beings I've ever seen. He doesn't blink. He doesn't flinch. He's tough, man. He sits in there. He's hard to tackle. Coach Browse does a good job with off-tempo stuff. And, hey, look, all we told our defense all week is you ain't played nobody. And they went out and played. I don't know what they were, 26th, 30th. I really don't know. I know they had beaten two good football teams, and they went out and they shut those guys out. And you know what we're going to tell them next week? They ain't played nobody, you know? So we're going to keep preaching to get better and grow. We're not where we need to be, but as long as they're like buying in, because we got this really good vibe on our team of complementary football, special teams, offense, defense, and the defensive coaches do a great job of selling to the defense that, hey man, what you're doing is elite. You're special. Now we didn't force the turnovers. I don't guess we got any turnovers, and that would be the one drawback that we're really trying to get more of those. But we agree on that, Chip.
Chris Lowe, do you have a question?
Yeah, I do. Hey, Kirby, how are you?
Good, Chris.
Hey, speaking about your defense, the way you sort of put this defense together, and I think you touched on this a minute ago, how well are they sort of complementing each other? Guys at the back end and guys up front, and sort of what you guys are trying to do right now.
Man, they play hard. It's just, I'll tell you, we've never met as a defensive unit this long. And I think what Dan does, and Coach Adai, and Coach Schumann, and Coach Scott, and Coach Muschamp, and the GAs, they sell unity in there. They have fun. Like, we have a 45-minute meeting on a Tuesday or Wednesday, and you would think everybody's like, oh, I got to go practice today. They hype it up. They play music. They show turnovers. They've really done this really good messaging where they're showing elite defenses. You know, the teams that were like super elite, the Ravens, the Bears, these really, and what's happened is everybody wants to be them. They want our defense to be those guys, emulate those guys. And it's made them not really go about, I'm playing the opponent. We're playing the standard, and we're playing this, can we be this elite team? And our offense really helped us today, because I don't know what the time of possession was, but it seemed like we ate a lot of clock and ran the ball really well, so we didn't have to play as many snaps.
Let's go to Maria Martin and then to Brandon Sudge.
Coach, you've hit on this a couple times about your offensive line. I mean, they've progressed from the beginning of the year to now. How have you seen them, especially today, really step up and be able to make sure that you guys can run the ball effectively as well?
Well, from the get-go, from when we won that game last week, before I got on the bus in Vanderbilt, I was already had my mind set on what we were going to have to do to win this week. And it was issuing a challenge to a group of men who have a lot of pride: Justin Schaefer, Warren Erickson, Jamari Saylor, Broderick Jones, Cedric Van Pran, Warren McClendon, Marius Mims, Xavier Truss. Say all their names, because they bought in to what they had to do. And they like that. They liked it. The backs like that. You know, it was just a really good grinded out. I thought Coach McGee sold his backs on, you know, Georgia 5. You go get a Georgia 5. Georgia 5 yards is grown man ball. It might be 2 yards, but you get it 5. And there was a lot of buy-in to that.
Hey, Kirby, I'm going to follow up here on the defense, but the whole thing where you say you're either a lead or you're not, it seems like coach speak, but I feel like it's got a lot of like substance in terms of how you guys go about the day to day. I mean, do you guys keep preaching the whole thing of you're not elite yet, or is it you want to be elite week after week?
Yeah, you're either elite or you're not. And, you know, we've had what I think are some elite performances. I thought today was really special. I thought Clemson's was really special. I didn't think UAB's was so great, but we've had some that are really special. But the elite or not is really about turnovers. You know, you either get them or you don't. So today we weren't elite in terms of turnovers, but we were elite in a lot of other ways. And the buy-in to that has been great. And the kids, they understand it. It's like, it's not like a gray area where you're 50-50. You either are or you're not. And nobody wants to be not. Everybody wants to be elite, at least in this group. And that's kind of permeated our team.
Let's go to Jeff Schultz and then to Drew Hubbard.
Kirby, it's been too long. I feel like somebody needs to upset you with a question again.
So it's going to be about JT, right? Let me guess, Jeff, I'm sure.
How about this? Do you think your ceiling is just as high with Stetson Bennett this year as it is with JT?
Probably not a fair question, because you're asking me to make a comparison or an opinion. And I've probably seen more snaps of those two than anybody, right? Because I was here the whole time with Stetson, and some of our offensive staff has been here the whole time with Stetson, as well as Monken's been here the whole time with JT. So I just think it's a hypothetical, Jeff, and I'm not upset with you for asking it, but I would have begged to my team, why does it matter? Like, I think that both of them are really good players. You know, we have a lot of confidence in both of them. And I think the outside perception is that like one guy's way better than the other. And I think both of them are really good. And I'm proud of both of them. I'm so glad that they've handled it the right way. JT's frustrated. He wants to play quarterback, and he doesn't get to when he has an injury. Stetson just goes out and does his job and wants to be there to help the team. So I don't think ceilings, I think growth. And that's where my focus is.
Thank you.
Hey, Kirby, wanted to ask you about Daniel Jackson. Obviously, he's kind of a guy no one really expected coming into this season, but he blocked that punt. He's made a lot of big plays. What's he been like going on the team, and what kind of difference?
Who are you again? I'm sorry.
Drew Hubbard with the red and black.
Awesome question, dude. This is the best question of the day. Daniel Jackson is the most untold story that we have on our team. Okay. The guy came from, I don't know where, walk on. Okay. He runs 4.5 all of a sudden his freshman year. And I'm like, where did we get this guy from? I mean, he's a good football player. He doesn't play, but he's out there. Then spring rolls around and we have a mass exodus of DBs, 8 to be exact. So he went from like 16th to 8th in one semester. All right. And then he worked his way from 8th to 6th. And then he worked his way to about 5th, and then he blocks a punt, and all he does is give you everything he's got every day. I love the kid. He's done a great job. The guy deserves a dang scholarship, and as soon as we can get one for him, we're going to try to do that. But every player on the team, when you ask them who you respect, I call them players and say, James Cook, who do you respect on the team? 2 guys he mentioned first, Lad McConkey and Daniel Jackson. The kids know. Kids see it. And he's a special player, and I appreciate you asking about it.
Hey, let's go Jake Rowe and then to Emily from 46.
We got to see Darnell Washington come back, and obviously the passing game wasn't really in the game plan, and you know that's where people want to see, you know, Darnell be. But he looked like he was a weapon in the run game for you guys. And I know he didn't get to play a ton, but how excited are you to kind of get that big body back for the run game and just him back in general?
Extremely excited. However much excited you could say excited, because he bought in to his role. He's another one of those guys that we said all week, there's a difference between knowing your role and buying into your role. You know, we had video of 2 teams that were severely frustrated playing Arkansas. Frustration had set in, and all we talked about all week was patience, aggressive. Had several conversations with Darnell about, if you're ready, we want to play you. If you're not, we'll wait. And after he smacked about 3 linebackers during the week, we knew he was ready, and he embraced his role, because he is not 100%. Okay. He's not 100%, and he'll be the first to tell you that. But man, go back and watch the film. Go back and watch the film and see a guy fight for his teammates. And I have immense respect for people that buy into team values. And Darnell did that today.
A couple of questions for you, Coach. The first one you might not be able to answer. Do you remember the loudest the stadium has been since you've been here, which game that was, since you wanted it to be so loud today? And then my second question, back-to-back shutouts. The last time the Dogs did that was 2006. The last time it was done in conference, 1980. How rare is that?
Well, you just said it. I mean, it's 1980 rare, so that's a long time. Loudest I remember it being ever was that 4th down on Notre Dame. I thought that was extremely loud and impactful. And to be that loud at noon, it's beyond elite. I mean, let's call it like we see it. We challenged the fans because I knew we needed them. They answered the bell. The players answered the bell. Total team unity and effort and buy-in from the fan base and everybody else. Now, if we can just not get complacent, coaches, players, fan base, take things for granted and not have that same impact at other home games, then we can be a good football team. And I thought it was, I know it's as loud as I've ever heard it at 12, because I've never even seen it packed at 12, but it may have been one of the loudest ever. Somebody mentioned earlier to me since the LSU Georgia game back when Met and Aaron Murray were playing. That's what it reminded them of.
Okay, we got time for 2 more questions. Go to Connor Riley and then to Jed May.
Hey, Kirby, what do you think it said? Why do you seem so frustrated when there are questions about JT, given how well everything else is going?
Why am I frustrated? Because I want the guys that deserve all the credit for all the work they've done, for all the things they've done positive. I want them to be able to receive that. I want them to get you guys to write about their effort and how they played, and instead of the story being about JT's lat, right? Because JT can't control his lat injury, right? And there's nothing I can say. I've talked to trainers at the Cowboys, the Yankees. I mean, we've done all this research. There's nothing else we can do but let it heal, right? The story's not about George not being out there right now, right? So the story should be about the guys that went out on the field and performed today and did such a great job of following the game plan. I want them to get that. So it's not a frustration that you're asking about JT, it's that you're not talking about the other guys, but Chip was.
Kirby, this is one about the defense, so we'll end on a good note. Stetson said that, having a defense play this well can help an offense get through lulls when things aren't going so well. Just from a coach's perspective, how much has that helped you? I think you mentioned a little earlier, you were able to go for it on that 4th and 1 there. Just when the defense is playing that well, how does that affect your decision making as a coach?
Well, I mean, we got a good defense, right? So whether we did or not, I probably would have gone for that one because you're not. It's the best decision. I mean, you can't do much there but gain 20 or 30 yards. So it's the best decision. I have a lot of confidence in our offensive line, our offensive staff to get 1 yard. And that's the way you have to approach college football because you have to score points. But Stetson is right. They helped get us through lulls because we had a couple lulls in the game where we lost the field position battle. And, I got upset and was frustrated, but Coach Munkin reminded me we changed the field position because we moved the ball from coming out one time and flipped it, and that's how you play football. You play complementary football. And I thought we did a good job of doing that.
Thank you, Coach Smart.
Thank you, guys.